We'll get started with questions. Let's start with Tyler Donahue.
Good morning, Sal. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm well, thank you. Yesterday, James talked about the offensive line being the staff's pick for player of the week collectively, and he said 7 starters. So starting off, what does it mean to get that kind of recognition from the coaching staff after what you knew was going to be a difficult matchup versus Iowa? And then to hear James say there are 7 guys they consider starters on the offensive line, what does that do for your group here in 2023?
I mean, I think that just shows the depth that we have at O-line and the different pieces that we could plug in, give players reps off, let them take a breather, and we get another guy in that's going to do the same exact thing. And, I feel like the O-line as a unit stepped up to the challenge this week. Iowa's a physical team. They're known to be stout up front, they're not known to let up big plays, easy stuff. So we all knew it was going to be a game where we was going to have to go in and grind them out play after play. And I feel like the O-line stood up to that job, and the coaches recognized that.
Rich Scarcella.
Hi, Sal. Thanks for doing this. You mentioned the depth. How does the fact that somebody's behind you, pretty close to you in talent, how does that motivate you every day in practice? And does that sort of thing prevent complacency?
Yeah, I think, having guys that that can start, that's right behind you, forces everyone to compete and gets better, every day. It's not like we're, actively trying to go against each other, but it's just the fact that there's competition in the room and that we know that if we're not doing something up to par, there's a guy that's willing to replace that will replace you. So I feel like it just steps up our level of our preparation. Everything just goes to the next level because we know what we have to do.
Greg Pickle.
Sal, you mentioned knowing what you were going to have to deal with last week against Iowa. What do you expect to have to deal with this week, and what are some of your keys to success against Northwestern?
I feel like it's going to be the same thing, more grinding out, especially on the O-line side. We always want to be able to run the ball no matter who we're going against. So I feel like it's going to be the same type preparation this week as it was for last week. We never want to, how can I say this? We always treat each week the same, and when it comes to preparation. So we doing day in, day out what we got to do.
Tyler Donahue.
Yeah, one of those additional starters that wasn't in the starting lineup last week was Venga, and I know he's played a ton every game this season. What has it been like to watch him develop through game work? Because I'd imagine for as much as he impressed on the practice field, there's just something different about getting this guy some serious run against opposing teams.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of Vega ever since he came in. I always try to do the most I can to help him, make sure he gets to the level where we all know where he could be at. So for him to finally be able to get this consistent playing time, get more reps in real game-like situations, because, games are always different than practice. So for him to really get this experience consistently like this is doing nothing but helping him in the end. And I'm extremely proud to see it.
Donnie Collins.
Hey, Sal, I apologize. This might be a dumb question, and there's a common sense element to it, I guess. But being able to take series off during games, and I'm assuming during practices, how do you feel fresher at this point than you have, heading into October, late September, and other seasons?
100%. You may not as you're playing. Of course, you want to stay in. And consistently to help your team out. You want to win. You want to compete. But as the weeks go on, them hits start to add up. So to be able to take drives off, 1 or 2 drives here and there, and just reduce your hits by 20, 30 reps, that just helps you out in the long run. And I feel it now. I still feel pretty fresh, and we're 4 games in. So I feel like this little rotation that we got going on is extremely important. Something that we really didn't have last year. And I feel like it's coming in clutch this year.
Joe Smetlzer.
Hey, Sal, thanks for the time. So with the season a third of the way done now, the regular season, how would you assess your play individually, and what do you think is the biggest difference that you've noticed in your game compared to this point last year towards the end of September?
I think the biggest difference is I'm reducing the amount of mental mistakes I'm having, the amount of errors. I feel like I'm more in tune with the playbook, knowing exactly where the ball is going, knowing what I got to do every play, knowing exactly what to do if they move or linebacker blitzes in my gap. So I feel like this year I know the playbook way more than I did last year, which is helping me out recognizing different blitzes and knowing what techniques to use.
Rich Scarcella.
Sal talked after the game about controlling the clock and so on and so forth. What is that like for an offensive lineman? What kind of satisfaction do you get from holding on to the ball for 45 minutes to running 97 plays to Iowa's 33? What was that feeling like?
I mean, it hurt. It was tiring, but just to know that we could consistently move the ball, play in, play out, get the 5 yards, get the 3 yards that we need every play, and just stick to the game plan, being in front of the chains, not behind them. It just helps us out with strategy. It helps us be able to do whatever we really want to do. So I feel like it's a great thing that we're able to hold on to the ball for such a long time, have these long drives, really wear out the defense.
Joel Haas.
Yeah, Sal, you just touched on it a little bit, how the offense is able to just grind out those, 12 play, 15 play drives. But obviously that does start to wear on you. So I guess, do you, find it more enjoyable to put together those long drives where you're able to just physically dominate the defense, one play at a time? Or would you almost prefer to have like an explosive play where you can get off the field without having to go through so many reps?
I mean, I feel like everybody would prefer to have the 1-2 play drives where you go out there, throw a bomb, and it's a touchdown or a long run. But it is a different type of satisfaction when you're out there and you're 10, 12, 15 plays in, you and your guys just out there sweating, tired, working, and then you finally score. It's like it all ends up to something important. And I feel like that type of satisfaction is differently because you feel like whatever you could do, they can't stop it. So we just choose to keep grinding out. I don't know. I feel like that type of feeling is different than a 1 or 2 play touchdown.
Tyler Donahue.
Sal, Caden Wallace, I think, is as well as anybody here on campus. So I'm curious what you have seen from him in his 5th year with Penn State. I think we've seen it translate onto the football field this September. What's been the key for him here in 2023, and how would you describe his performance through these 4 games?
I feel like he's a lot more physical this year, and his technique, of course, has gotten better. We're always trying to work on our technique, but I think his physicality has definitely changed the way he's been playing this year. He's made way more physical, and whether it's the pass game or the run game, throwing guys to the side. So I feel like his physicality this year is really helping him out.
Donnie Collins.
So I imagine in practice, you guys have seen some of those crazier formations of the defenses, the schemes that they'll do, like the 3 ends, on second down or third down or whatever that they did against Iowa. What's that like trying to face something different against guys who and have seen a lot? How big of a challenge is that kind of a defense to face?
I mean, it's incredibly challenging because the different type of twists, blitzes, how they line up is irregulars. That's not normal like a lineup they do. And the speed, of course, now with the 3 ends chopped right in front of you, Disa, Deny on the left. Like just the speed that's all around and the power they can hit you with, surprisingly, it's extremely hard to deal with. The only way you can really deal with it is if everybody has to be on the same page on the line, all 5 guys. And that's extremely hard to do. We're the only group that has 5 people on the field that all has to be on the same page every play. So it's extremely hard for the line to deal with that package.
All right, folks, we'll do 3 more questions. We'll go Luciano Chatelain, Joe Smetlzer, then Tyler Donahue will wrap us up. Go ahead, Luciano.
Hey, Sal, hope you're doing well, and thanks for your time. What can you tell us about Nick Dawkins and how important has he been to this offensive line so far?
Nick is very important. He just like how Hunter controls the old line, talks, makes all the call outs. Nick is right behind him, doing the same thing, replicating his actions, being a leader in the old line room. Taking over the young guys, doing extra meetings with them, people that just came in, so they can keep up the track with the older guys and things like that. So I feel like Nick is an incredible important part of the team, especially the old line.
Joe Smetlzer.
Yeah, Sal. So Alex is a guy that came in with a lot of hype in the most recent recruiting class. What's your kind of scouting report on him from what you've seen, and how would you describe him personality-wise? Excuse me, as well.
You talking about Alex Birchmeyer?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Personality-wise, Alex is an extremely funny guy, really outgoing. Kind of says whatever comes to his mind, not knowing social cues, but he's an extremely funny guy. And on the field wise, of course he's not at where he needs to be at, but every week he's getting better. Every week he's walking up to me. Anytime he has a rep or something, he walks up to me, asks me, how did it look? What can I fix? He consistently reminds me to remind him to keep working on his different footworks or his pad level and things like that. So I feel like he's a really good guy, really hard worker, and he's really trying to get better every day.
Tyler Donahue, wrap us up.
Thanks again for the time today, Sal. And I just wanted to focus on the center position. You played alongside a very strong performer in 2022 with Juice Scruggs. What's the feeling like with Hunter Norzad through this first month of the season? How has he stepped up, and what is he bringing the offense?
Of course, Hunter and Juice are totally different personality-wise, but as a center, it feels like my center never left. I feel like I got the same guy that I had last year working right next to me, making all the right calls, doing his job perfectly, making sure I'm correct if I'm missing something. So I just feel like Hunter has stepped up to the plate immensely, like way more immensely than anybody would have imagined. And Hunter's doing a great job at it.
Cool. Thanks, Sal. Appreciate it, folks.